Wild Health is about optimizing you. We use genomics, blood work, biometrics, microbiome assessment, many other tests, and a conversation with you to come up with a full health optimization plan. What's the perfect diet, exercise, and supplement plan for you and only you? The Wild Health podcast is about optimizing all of us. Here we cover the cutting-edge science that gives you the base to be able to apply the personalized plan we give you as a patient. To sign up as a patient, go to wildhealth.com. Or if you're a physician or health coach and you want to learn how to do this for your patients, we're happy to help as well. Wildhealth.com for all the information on becoming a patient or working with us.
What's up? What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Wild Health Podcast. My name is Steve, and I'm your health coach host today. Back again for another great episode, and I have a special guest today I'm going to introduce. Her name is Sara Banta. And Sara, first of all, just welcome to the Wild Health Podcast. It's good to have you here today, and I'm excited to dive in.
I am too. I'm super excited, and I love Wild Health, so it's a great marriage and happening.
Yeah, so you guys out there in listener land, Sara was a patient of ours. I'll kind of tell her story here in a minute, but she hosts her own podcast, has a supplement company, and does some health coaching. And she got a chance to try out Wild Health, and so we'll talk a little bit about her experience here with her journey with us, but then her health journey in general. So I'll introduce you here, Sara, and we'll get rolling. Sara Banta is a health coach, founder of Accelerated Health Products, which is a 3-time award-winning supplement brand for the #1 supplement e-tailer, and host of the Accelerated Health with Sara Banta podcast. Her mission is to help individuals live their best lives through advanced biohacking, science-based nutrition, and supportive supplementation. She began her journey into health and wellness after her son and later herself experienced chronic health challenges. This led her to research alternate solutions, eventually recovering from heavy metal toxicity and hypothyroidism. Sara has since developed an expertise in detoxification, addressing nutritional deficiencies, and optimizing health. Her passion is to simplify wellness for others, helping them achieve results through manageable lifestyle changes and high-quality natural products. Sara, welcome to the podcast, and I'm excited for this conversation today. I got a boatload of questions for you that I'm going to walk through, so
I
excited
love
to
it.
have you here.
I love it. I'm excited.
So, as usual with many of our guests, I want to take it back to the beginning for how things, just for you personally, began. Tell me a little bit about your personal health and wellness journey. Where did you kind of first take roots with interest even in the health space in general, and how did that take off to kind of where you are at today?
Guy could go on forever, but I'm one of 4 kids. My parents ate whatever they wanted. They never had weight issues. Still in their 80s, they don't have weight issues, so that was never an issue. We were eating waffles and pancakes and all the fun foods, but I always knew that things didn't feel good in my stomach, but then I became the picky, annoying eater. And fast forward to my 20s when I'm on my own, more gut issues, could tell that my metabolism wasn't working, hair falling out, still had the teenage acne even though I wasn't a teenager anymore. And starting, getting into marriage and then pregnancy, and finally hit a rock bottom after my 3rd pregnancy, because as all you women know, that when you are pregnant, your body will give everything to that child and steal it from you. So the hair was getting even worse, and all of the factors were getting even worse. And I went to the GI doctor. They put tubes up me, down me, around me, gave me no answers, said, have some Metamucil and you've got IBS. I'm like, you don't think I've tried that already? So then I saw a natural practitioner that used a skio machine based on scalar technology, which all of my supplements are now based on, and we can get into that later. And it scanned my body for 10,000 items. And he looked at me and he said, how did you have the energy to walk into my office? He goes, you should be on the floor. No wonder you feel horrible. You have food that is rotting in your stomach. It's not digesting. Your hormones are in the tank, and heavy metals are through the roof. And I started crying because finally someone knew how I felt. So as we were peeling my health like an onion and tackling it, and he said something to me. He goes, Sara, we're not going to touch your mental space until we give you a strong foundation physically. And so we were working on that. And my eldest child was about 9 years old when he went to this practitioner, and the practitioner said he needs to go get a live blood cell test and don't do anything through insurance because we don't know what's coming up. And I didn't know what he saw on the screen. He wouldn't tell me. We go to the live blood cell practitioner, and she looks at me and says, well, your son's got leukemia, and if you don't do something about it now, we're going to be in a very serious situation within a year. And my son is sitting next to me. I just start crying. And he goes, Mom, why are you crying? You're going to fix me. And I said, you know what? You're right. And it wasn't about me anymore. It wasn't about my heavy metals or anything that I was dealing with. It was all about him. And we put him on the one supplement that is now my flagship product, and that's the accelerated silver. And then we cleaned up his diet a little bit. But Steve, when I say clean up your diet, I meant I was going from microwavable corn dogs to deli meat and some other things.
Yeah.
And with a 9-year-old son, they're going to school, they've got the birthday parties, all of that. So as I was going along in that first year, I saw my son starting to come back. I saw him doing a little better in school, having the energy to go do sports. Now, mind you, he got to the point where he didn't even want to go to a 20-minute swim lesson. This kid, fast forward, is in Utah mountain bike riding and skiing and scheduling his classes for school around his ski schedule. So that is the oomph that he's got naturally, but this situation took his energy down to the floor. So within a year, I saw my son coming back, but I didn't trust it until we got the live blood cell again. And when I went back, the lady looks at me and she goes, I've never seen such beautiful blood in my life. I don't know what you're doing, Mom, but keep doing it. And the cells are not only, I don't see any cancer cells anymore, but they're nutritionally full and they're round and they're plump and they're just the way they're supposed to look. And I just was laughing and crying at the same time. And my son Jackson looks at me again. He goes, Mom, I knew you'd fix me. And so then that was a big hurdle. And when I came through that experience, I said, you know what? I've got something here. Because I had friends that were putting their kids on antibiotics for a simple cough. And here I had a supplement that works. And I have to be careful with what I talk about it because that supplement is a trigger word for Google and all of those fun places. So anyways, with that being said, I then had my daughter. She had allergies, anemia, asthma. That girl who would not run around the block or even get on her bike with the family is now at USC rowing, one of the hardest sports that you can do. She comes home and she says, Mom, do you realize we work out more than the USC football and basketball teams? And she's doing great. And so we overcame those issues with her. My youngest, probably my healthiest because I knew the most at an earlier on age. She's experienced through this pandemic, like most women, hormonal issues that have been horrific. PMS levels, pain levels of 12, throwing up, Mom, hit me, I need to pass out, I can't deal with this pain, life isn't worth it, to the fact that she is on her rowing team, going to practice the day of her period and doing okay. Yes, it hurts a little bit, but a little Advil or something will take care of it. So we've overcome those issues as well. And, I talked about my son at 9, but at 15, as his energy got up and he was an athlete, all 3 of my kids are rowers because I rowed. They wanted to be like me, I guess. Anyway, he was on his road to breaking a national record in their boat at sophomore year, but his heart was stopping. Literally, I woke up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. to him pounding on his bathroom wall and pounding on his chest because his heart had stopped. And the next morning, we're sitting on the edge of his bed, and he looks at me and he goes, "Mom, we've done it before. We're going to do it again." And I said, "You're right. We're going to figure out what's going on," because I knew he's healthy. He's never been sick ever since that one time he, had the cancer scare. Literally no sickness in my house. And you've got young kids, Steve, and you
Oh
know
yeah.
how easy it is for them to bring the flu or the cold or the green stuff home. So
Daycare and
all
school is a cesspool.
Exactly. All of my kids were young and they did not get sick because of some of these supplements. And so we realized that he was working out like an Olympian, but he was not supplementing like an Olympian. And
Hmm.
he was low in electrolytes, and his heart is a muscle and it needs those electrolytes, and you need to be supplementing according to your output. Anyway, through all of that, the pandemic definitely made my job a lot more interesting, a lot more challenging. But what I've come away from is that with every health challenge that this world throws at us, we are going to find solutions. And I trust in God that He will give me the answers. A lot of times He uses me as the guinea pig, so I have to feel the pain to understand how to help everybody else out there. And, before we came on, we mentioned a little bit of the liver issues that I've had, and my goodness, do I have a lot of answers for it for other people because of what I've gone through.
Man, that is quite the journey. And I think, I love what you said about, any health issue that comes along, we're going to find the answer, and you trust and you believe that. And that rings true with me a lot. We talk to our patients about this all the time. We're in such an interesting and exciting time in the health world because there's such vast knowledge. There's so many um, things out there to explore between technologies, between supplements, nutrition being more of a focus for a lot of people now. And just thinking about these things as, uh, you know, we have so much information that we can teach people about that they just don't know about all of these things.
Yeah.
And so many of those foundational pieces you mentioned, like nutrition, getting the proper supplementation a person needs, physical exercise, we can go all the way down the road on all of these things, uh, are these big levers that can really, really change a person's health. And I think it's really awesome and so cool to hear how your son and your kids look to you and say, "Mom, we can do this. We can heal this.
Yeah.
You've done it before." And so it sounds like that was the big, probably reason that you were inspired to create accelerated health products.
Absolutely. And through our supplementation and our formulation, it's so different and takes things to a whole new level. And in the supplement market, 95% of what's out there is junk. You can't just trust it if it's at Whole Foods. You don't know what fillers they're putting in. What we saw through the pandemic was that even reputable companies were cutting corners because of inflation and because you couldn't source your supplements from China or India where you used to get your stuff, and the border issues and all of that. It really hampered the supplement industry, but then people just cut corners, and we don't.
So
And that is something that I will only provide supplements that I will be giving my family and myself.
love that. Let's double click on that a little bit here. So supplements are a big topic among people. We always, like I'm sure you've talked about too. I've heard some of your episodes on your podcast where there's foundational pieces to health. You got to clean up your diet. Exercise is key. Let's get outside and breathe some fresh air. Sleep, stress management, right? And then when you get deeper into those levels and you start doing blood work and you start doing other types of testing, or even just like you said, experiencing different deficiencies or feelings, like supplements can fill in the gap for a lot of these things. And so it's a hot topic. People always ask about it. Every patient that I see, we're having a conversation in some form or fashion about a supplement. When people become interested in supplements, how do they decipher that 95%? Like, what are we looking for when we're out there in the world, shopping or looking around for a specific supplement? What are some of the things that you would give advice to people on when they're out there looking for products to know that they're going to get a reputable source? How do you find them?
It's hard. It is you're going through the weeds. You want third-party testing. You want to know where they're sourcing it from. You want to know the people behind the company. But besides that, I mean, I have taken supplements from I thought were reputable companies, and they backed up my liver and caused my enzymes to go through the roof. And I wouldn't have known if I hadn't done Wild Health and you guys seen it on my blood test. And I was taking a supplement from a reputable company. So I thought. So it is difficult, but that is why I'm so passionate about providing what I provide. If if we if another company is reputable and they're providing a supplement that cannot be improved on, I'm not going to try to copy it with Accelerated Health products. I'm going to carry that brand. Now, for instance, liver supplement. There wasn't one that checked all the marks, and I came out with one this last fall, and my goodness, it has blown me away and what I've seen in other people. I've had long-time clients taking my other liver supplement for years and years and years, doing my liver cleanses, and when they switched over to the Accelerated Liver Care, they're like, "Oh my goodness, this is a game changer." And for me, my liver enzymes were over 700.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about liver enzymes, a doctor would have like taken me in and said, "You're not leaving the hospital until we fix your liver," right? Well, I took the Accelerated Liver Care for 2.5 weeks, and my liver enzymes dropped below 90. 2.5 weeks, that was it. And now I'm waiting for my next blood test to get the final read. But our livers are under attack. And so it became a real passion of mine to find the right herbs in the right synergy. So when we talk about herbs, you could have herbs that are dried in the sun and awful, and companies are just sprinkling it in. They call it fairy dusting so they can put it on the label. Whereas we are taking herbs that are full of life force with what they call in Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine, and full of chi or that energy. So the herbs are actually carrying energy into the body. They've got a purpose. That's why I always talk about when you take your supplements, it's really important timing. Are you taking it with other supplements, with food, at night, in the morning? There is an art to it. But some supplements can have, mold and bacteria. The counts of allowed mold and bacteria could make you sick. So here you are taking a supplement to feed your body and make you healthy, and it's actually causing sinus infections, histamine response in your head, and all of these other things, where histamines are horrible compared to what they were because of the spike protein. We're in this new world of spike protein that has really thrown things off their rocker. So with Accelerated Health products, we're getting the herbs from around the globe, the very best sourcing, but then there's a magic to the synergy, the ratio of the herbs to make the synergistic effect that much more and more optimal. And then we add in a layer of scalar frequency. So like that SCIO machine that diagnosed me with all of my issues and my son, we use that technology, but much stronger scalar field and a scalar technology unlike anything in the world. And we imprint our supplements with frequencies for a purpose. So for instance, the liver supplement, it has frequencies to cleanse the liver, to take the herbs, to open up the meridians in the gallbladder and the liver so it's getting to where it needs to go and doing its job. We've got like our accelerated gold. Gold is known for anxiety, increasing IQ, helping with sleep. So we imprint it with frequencies to do all of those things to increase the efficacy. Same with our silver or our copper. Something that people don't know is that the spike protein has accelerated copper depletion in the body. People are worried about anemia and they look to iron. You probably have way too much iron in your body. It's just in all the wrong places. You need copper to open the door to put the iron to where it needs to go. And on my blood test, I didn't know this. I've always run anemic. I've always thought, oh, it's a lack of iron. I actually had too much iron and too much ferritin because my liver wasn't working. And
Hmm.
my liver that's where you store your ferritin. So all of these things. Now, yes, I was taking a supplement to put pressure on my liver and made things worse. However, 45% or more of adults in the United States have fatty liver disease. The spike protein has wreaked havoc on the liver. The supplements for liver detoxification could actually back up your liver, some that are out there. So when we're talking about supplements, you're not just talking about the quality of the ingredients, but are the ingredients doing what they're supposed to do for your genetics? Steve, they might work for you, but they don't work for me, and they could backfire, right? So there's so many things to look into.
That's huge, and you nailed it. It might work for me, and it might not work for you. And I think, I get concerned oftentimes when people show up at our doorstep as patients, and they're on 15 to 20 plus supplements, because, like you said, timing matters, dosing matters a lot too. Like, I think that's something I'm always talking to people about, and showing them kind of like how to select the right product in terms of, maybe you get a quality product, maybe what's in there is quality, but the dosing is incorrect. It's not
Right.
enough of the right ratio to even do what it's supposed to do. And, you can, if you're doing kind of the right research, you can comb the literature for what proper dosing is even supposed to be effective. But that's been shown, and a lot of people, or a lot of supplements, can be underdosed, because, well, quite frankly, it saves the company money. They don't have to put as much in, right? And so people aren't taking high enough dose, or they're taking too high. You see wide ranges of things. And so you bring up a very good point to kind of summarize it all, which is what might work for me and my genetics and my blood work may not work for you. And you have to proceed with caution, and you have to be assessing the things and not just taking them blindly without looking at your blood work, without having somebody guide you through that. And so I love that. And I think it sounds like so much care and attention is put into the products at Accelerated Health, which is really, really awesome to see. And I think I heard you correctly in that if you guys find a product that somebody else makes that you believe is top line or better,
Yeah.
you carry it.
Yep, exactly. I don't have to carry any supplements, but I choose to because I want to provide a well-rounded basket for most people. That was my goal, is that I had done it the hard way in finding these rare herbs from random companies through my journey for me and all of my kids and my husband. But I wanted to provide the best of the best in one place so people could understand how they work together. I write my articles and do my podcasts explaining how they work together so that not just you're taking what I'm telling you to take, but you understand. There's so much to be said for that mind-body connection and intention behind taking a supplement, not just throwing back pills and not knowing what they're doing, right? You want to have intention. Okay, this is for my thyroid. This is for my mental clarity. This is for my sleep. This is going to give me energy. There is a lot behind that mental, physical connection.
I think a big takeaway is for people to understand exactly like you're saying, understand the why behind it, everything to do with your health. Ask the questions. We tell people that all the time. And that's something that I like. An educational part of our care here at Wild Health is something that we really focus on with our patients, is teaching them about what we're going to do and why we're going to do it. Because it is so empowering to know what is the reason why, not just blindly taking it because we told you to, or doing this nutritional strategy because we think it's best, but like why do we believe that?
Yep.
And then what do we believe that you're going to get out of that? And having that deep understanding, like you said, allows a person to have a little more confidence to connect with their body and understand what is supposed to be happening. So I love that. We are talking a lot about the liver, and we know that's like master detoxifier. There's a lot of things going on there. And detoxification is a big part of your work, it sounds like, and a big part of something that you're passionate about. And so what common misconceptions maybe do people have about detoxing in general? And out of that, what would you say if somebody maybe believes or is thinking about detox? They're feeling like they need to do some sort of, which is a super broad term, I know, but where should they start with that?
Well, detoxification, my goal when I started this company, because remember, my practitioner first said to me, Sarah, we want to make you feel good and then we'll work on your mental state, right? It's like telling someone who's starving to go on a diet. That's not going to work. You need to make them feel satiated and then make the bigger willpower changes. So with detoxification, people think, oh, if I just do a juice cleanse, that's going to clean everything out. A juice cleanse is going to lower your metabolic rate. It's going to make you lose a couple pounds of water initially. The juices are full of sugar, might screw up your insulin and your blood sugar. Your hair's going to fall out. You're going to feel horrible. Your family's going to hate you because you're hangry. All of that. When I do all of my detox cleanses, I have over 10 easy detox cleanses. You're eating real food. You actually might even start eating more food than you were eating. But the supplements work to cleanse the body. You need to be pooping. So, number one, don't start to clean your kidneys or your liver if you're constipated. And most people are. So I have a colon cleanse, or you can just use one of the supplements to help getting things moving. And I am a master at that. If you are constipated, you think you've tried everything, you have not tried my supplements. And I've got articles and podcasts all about that topic. But then your liver. Our livers are under attack. And foods that used to be healthy for the liver, like the sulfur foods, the broccoli, the cauliflower, the cabbage, the kale, the awesome kale, right?
You're making me hungry.
I know. Well, I'm laughing because as my daughter was having energy issues and other issues, she was making kale chips with cheese and almonds. And so almonds are full of oxalates. But back to the sulfur, because of glyphosate and the other toxins in our environment, it has hijacked our sulfur detox pathways. So a food that once helped detoxification now puts more burden on the liver. All of those sulfur foods, the oxalates, the almonds, the kale again, kale has both. Most nuts, berries, spinach is horrific. And who was doing the spinach smoothies, right? Or maybe a spinach salad with your crushed almonds on top. These foods are full of oxalates, cause hypothyroidism, brain fog, arthritis, urogenital issues, and so much more. So those two things where you think you're eating foods that are good for your detox pathways, they're actually backing them up. We've got endocrine disruptors, the plastics, processed foods are hijacking our liver as well. They are the main reason for that fatty liver disease that we've been talking about. The heavy metals, I had heavy metal toxicity 20 years ago. You better bet that that burden is a lot higher now than it was 20 years ago. And we've got the radiation and all of that. Now, iodine deficiency. This is huge because iodine is needed not just for the thyroid, but for detoxification. And 96% of the United States, this is a statistic from 10 years ago, is iodine deficient. So you better believe that more than 96% of you listening are iodine deficient. It is no longer sufficient in our iodized salt. And if it is coming in the iodized salt, it is full of microplastics. 36 out of 39 salts tested had microplastics and toxins in it. So don't have that salt at the restaurant table. And most of the iodine supplements only have about a 10 to 20% absorption, and they also could be coming from a toxic source, affected by Fukushima in the Asias. So iodine deficiency, when you think about the body, it is needed for everything. In this, you've got the cell. So the cell membrane, which is the brain of the cell, and this is a big part of detoxification, is made up of iodolipid value, or it has an iodolipid value, meaning iodine and fat value, saturated fat and unsaturated fat. That cell membrane allows toxins to come out of the cells and nutrients to get into the cells. Now we're talking about microplastics, those seed oils that are a hot topic right now and can stay in your body for up to 7 years. Well, if your cell membrane is healthy, it might be a little easier to get those seed oils out of the cells and the nutrients in. When my son's blood was underneath the microscope initially, his cells were all clumped together. They looked like donut holes, and they had spikes on it. The spike ones were the cancer cells, but the other ones that weren't cancer, they were just sick. There was no way to get nutrients into the cells if they're all clumped together. When his blood was healthy, they were all plump and dark and separated. So the cell membrane is a huge part of the cellular health, and we are only as healthy as our cells and our mitochondria. You need iodine inside the cell to increase that ATP to 36 or 38. Without iodine, it can be 2. So just imagine, you're not getting energy from the Monster drink or your third cup of coffee. You're getting it from that ATP. And that ATP is going to give you energy to do work, to have relationships, to go work out, just to function, to have an immune system that's strong, to detox the cells, to help with brain power, to do life, and to live longer. You will die when your mitochondria dies. And the number one cause of mitochondrial failure is iodine deficiency. So iodine is needed for detoxification, and it's needed for that energy. It's also needed outside the cell to kill the pathogens, the parasites, the fungus, the viral activity, the bacteria. It was used during the 1918 Spanish flu to help with that pandemic at the time. But it also is used outside the cells to clean the blood so the liver can do its job. Now, the other thing to think about is the iodine is needed for thyroid hormones. T4, T3, and T2 stands for 4, 3, and 2 molecules of iodine. Well, your thyroid is your master endocrine gland. If your thyroid's not working, guess what else isn't working? Your adrenals, your gonads, your hypothalamus, pituitary, they're all connected. And your thyroid is telling everything what to do. It's what gives you the energy to work and to detox. And it is also related to your liver. If your thyroid is low, your cholesterol is going to go up. So Steve, I don't know if you've seen on a lot of blood tests with women, when their thyroid's down, their cholesterol out of nowhere is going up. And they don't know why. They haven't changed anything in their lives. And their iron stores are going up, and their AST and ALT enzymes are going up. That is also related to thyroid. So with that, you also have, like I mentioned, the spike protein. So the spike protein has affected the ACE2 receptor in the liver. And as a result, there's insulin dysregulation, water retention, brain fog, depression, anxiety, all of these things away from our other diet and other toxic issues. So we have to be more vigilant about detoxification and loving your liver. Now, there are supplements out there that people take for their detoxification. NAC, you hear about that. You hear about glutathione. Guess what? They're sulfur-based. So if you take it, it might back up your sulfur detox pathways and not even get you what you think. Dandelion root, that's an herb that people use for detoxification. It's full of oxalates, so that might backfire. Turmeric, everyone thinks turmeric's amazing. Turmeric has those anti-inflammatory properties, but it is full of oxalates. And I was drinking so much turmeric and didn't understand why I was having symptoms of high oxalates. So there are some herbs that can backfire, and then that's where we have come up with the accelerated liver care. And you can take it just a daily dose. You can increase the dose to a therapeutic level, and then you can also do the accelerated liver flush cleanse that incorporates it and flushes all of those gallstones into the toilet, and you feel amazing. When your liver isn't working, you are not assimilating the amino acids from your protein, and we're all hearing about high protein diets. We're not breaking down our fat, and the fat is going to make us nauseous, and we're not going to know why when we take that sixth bite of salmon that we feel nauseous. Well, that's your liver saying, I can't do this. If you have bumps on the back of your arms, if your stools are floating, those are signs you're not breaking down the fat. That all happens in the liver. And if your liver's fatty, or if it's trying to process the plastics, the toxic food, the artificial ingredients in our processed foods, the glyphosate, the GMOs, the radiation, all of these things, and even the healthy kale and spinach and broccoli that you think you're doing the right thing, you're not going to feel good, and your energy is going to go down. Your mitochondrial health will go down. Your hair's going to start falling out. Your eyebrows are going to thin. You might get acne, because this is another thing that I have learned through, unfortunately, God has used my body to show your skin is your largest detox organ. If your liver can't do its job, guess where all the junk's coming out? And you're going to have rashes and eczema and psoriasis and zits all over your face, or just rashes, which you don't even know where they came from. So, detoxification does not have to be uncomfortable. In fact, all of mine are designed to make you feel good day one. Iodine, the acceleradine iodine, is the only iodine that I will use. It's monoatomic, meaning it's in the form that feeds every cell in the body. Most iodines have to get broken apart from another molecule to be used, and that's why the absorption is not high. But with that iodine supplementation, you're detoxing, but you're also giving your thyroid a boost, fat oxidation a boost, your liver's getting a little help, you're getting a little mental clarity because it's kicking out the fluoride and the toxins out of your brain. And it's like, okay, now I can do this. Now I have the energy and the willpower to take that other supplement. Oh, now I have the energy to go for a walk this morning. Now I actually am motivated to get to bed on time. And then it's this domino effect of these healthy habits. And by the way, I'm going to eat whatever I want as far as carbs, protein, and fats, but I'm going to stick to whole foods. I'm not going to have anything in a package. Even though those keto organic protein bars that are filled with ingredients that
It's a
might be
trap.
freezing,
It's a
right?
trap.
It is. So that's where you kind of get on this path of motivation, but you start feeling good day one. And most people are suffering from hypothyroidism, which is only going to make your detox pathways even slow. You're constipated, which is part of holding in those toxins. So between the acceleradine iodine and accelerated thyroid, which is a complete restorative thyroid supplement, helps people get off their medication, gives you the energy to say, okay, now what? I can do the next step. And then you take the accelerated liver care and some other supplements to just kind of cleanse your liver gently, depending on how toxic you are, to start getting that energy back, to start making the right choices, and then you can take it a step further.
That's awesome. So clearly, detoxification, making sure that process is working effective, it's multifactorial. You highlighted some of the key things, the importance of iodine. And it sounds like to me, um, for a lot of people, getting that kind of jumping off point with something like a liver cleanse supplement in accelerated health case is an opportunity to be able to mix in some other changes that are gonna help along the way. And so, along with detoxification supplements we talked about, from there, when people are going through a detox, and I know it's different depending on what the person's dealing with, but from your take, when people start to have the energy and the ability to want to add in more things to benefit their health, where do you point them in terms of nutrition, exercise, and other lifestyle changes to build around the things that they're needing from those nutrients you're giving them?
Right. So you're only as good as the food you actually assimilate. So your energy doesn't come from the food you take in. The energy comes from what your body does with the food that takes you take in.
I heard
And
a
when
funny
I
quote about this. Sorry to interrupt, but
no,
it was like right along that line. It was people always say like you are what you eat. It's like
right.
you are what you eat and what you absorb.
Exactly, exactly. So, with that being said, some of those healthy vegetables like the broccoli, cauliflower, kale, they're disrupting your detox pathway. So, you're not even getting the nutrients that you think you are from those ingredients. So, I talk about the five disruptors in the diet. And number one is amyloid proteins that are found in chicken, poultry, conventionally raised beef. This has been made worse with the spike protein in the pandemic. Our body cannot break down these proteins and use those amino acids to build our hair, brain, and our muscles. We want to focus on the wild animal protein, the bison, the venison. I just had venison for lunch. Elk, wild fish, organic eggs. These are going to give you the most nutrient-dense food on the planet, more than the vegetables and the fruits that you enjoy. I eat vegetables and fruits for enjoyment, for the fiber, but the nutrients are coming from that wild animal protein. I stick to the vegetables and fruits without the sulfur, without the oxalates, without the mold, like grapes and peas. People get into their vegan protein powders, pea protein, hemp protein, full of mold, full of could be oxalates, other things could be triggering estrogen, like soy proteins. Those actually could be backfiring, actually driving up your blood glucose and not giving you the amino acids you need. So that's why I always say you want to focus on that wild animal protein. You will never binge on a bison ribeye steak. I've tried, and you can't do it. And that's because your gut says to your brain, oh, there's a hormone called CCK that's only triggered by those amino acids. Tells your brain, I'm full, I don't need any more food. That is shut off when you're eating your Pringles and your Ben & Jerry's. It doesn't work. It actually tells your brain, eat more, because I'm not getting the nutrients I think I'm going to get. So wild animal protein, fruits and vegetables, away from the oxalates, the mold, and the high histamines too, and the sulfur. Histamine foods that people think are healthy. Bone broth, avocados, bananas. These are foods that people think are amazing. Well, they could be triggering histamines in your body, causing allergic reactions, gut issues, brain issues, so many issues. The spike protein has made histamine that much worse. So people who normally did not have issues with histamine now have issues that they have to look out for. So those are, and I put together an accelerated food guide. It's on my website. It's free. And also everyone's invited to my free group coaching on Telegram, where the conversations continued and you can ask your questions. But with that diet, then you need to move your body. And for you women out there, if you're over 40, stop the chronic cardio. It's killing your metabolism. It's killing your muscle mass. Focus on lifting heavy weights. You will not get bulky and big. I try every single day and I can't get big. I'm trying. And that will help balance your hormones as well. And number 3, sleep. I wear my Oura ring, and it's like, how'd I do last night? That is my biggest thing, because sleep is everything. Everything we've talked about means nothing if you are not sleeping. It's the cornerstone of health. So those are my big key takeaways.
Love that. The strength training thing, we talk about it a lot with our patients, women especially, as far as, the fear of bulking up and gaining too much muscle mass, and like, it's not going to happen. Like,
No.
you have to be eating like a professional athlete and training like one, which virtually no one has time for. And then genetics have to play a role. It's just like,
Yeah.
there's so many things have to line up for that to happen. And in fact, like you mentioned, you're going to get so many good benefits. And so I think what I'm hearing is the foundation still lies within that unprocessed food diet, the moving your body, resistance training for sure, getting some metabolic conditioning in, and then sleep is the foundation of it all. And pairing that with the right protocol, filling in the gaps with the supplements, we can really start to figure out where a person's deficiencies lie and make some real progress on those things. Thank you for walking us through all of that. And I think that, like you mentioned, if people are curious about some of these products, they want to learn more about some of these things, they go to your website. And we'll put a link in the show notes for those things as well. On the topic of just like biohacking in general, right? And just like health hacking, I'm just curious. We just met today, and I wanted to know, like, for you, what are some of your kind of go-to favorite health hacks or things that you do and incorporate into your daily life that you really feel like make an enhancement, right? Like, it can be anything.
So a couple things. I love technologies. My health was corrected with a skio machine. So I love frequency healing. And this is my cherry on top. It's called the Hiwi. And it's less than $500. Most technologies are over $16,000. This has over 60,000 different programs. When I had a viral activity just explosion, um, spooked or started off by the spike protein, varicella virus, a whole bunch of parasites, zosters, shingles, all of these things just went through a firestorm. I felt fine, but I started getting a skin rash, as we were talking about, where your body's going to detox. I went on the program for the Hiwi and tried to find the very specific kind of virus and da 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 da. And I'm like, well, it won't have those. It had every single one. I've used it for programs for hypothyroidism, hot flashes. This is the great thing, Steve. It has frequencies for medications that have hardcore side effects and um, but that are under trial. So you're getting the frequency of the medication without the negative side effects. It has frequencies for Ozempic, for all of the peptides. And so it's just that one layer on top of what you're already doing. Now, do you need to eat, right, sleep, and take your supplements and do all that stuff first? Yes, this is the cherry on top. But it has hair growth programs, vision programs, hearing programs, pain, hormonal issue programs. It's got fat burning programs, muscle building programs. As I was telling you, I'm trying to build muscle. I will actually do a muscle stimulation program during my workout. So that is my favorite tool. I love the sauna. I do it every day. And I learned that through Wild Health, I learned that I have a hard time producing heat shock proteins. And I'm going, well, no wonder I can't live without my sauna. And people don't understand why I need it every day. I also learned that women have a lot harder time with heat shock proteins in general than men do. So the sauna, I I lift weights. I do sprints on my rowing machine. Um, I make sure I walk my dogs at some point later in the afternoon to bring my cortisol down. I love to look at, dawn and dusk for that circadian rhythm factor. I love my vitamin D. I don't wear sunscreen even though I'm in Southern California. I never get sunburned because I don't eat seed oils and processed foods. So, shoot me if maybe I will have skin cancer in 20 years, but I don't think I will. And I just love the nutrients I'm getting from God's gift of the sun. And so those would be my top.
I love asking that question because I always learn some things. The Hiwi, that's called?
The Kiwi, it's on the website at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. Like I said, it is the most impactful technology for the cheapest price I've ever found. And Steve, I've got a biocharger that cost me $16,000 in my house, and I would choose the Hiwi over the biocharger.
Nice. That's awesome. So I wanted to spend our last little bit here talking about your experience with Wild Health. And so you came in with us. We're going to do blood work and genetics and uncover what we uncover with everybody. Tell me about kind of that story. When you started, what your blood work showed, and what you kind of hinted at it a little bit, but let's kind of talk that in detail. And what was your experience using the data that we collected in our process to kind of work through that, with also pairing it with all the knowledge and things that you have?
Well, what I learned was my liver was under attack, and I was taking a supplement that was supposed to help with muscle growth, and it was toxic to my liver. The other thing that I was experimenting with was taking um, ivermectin intermittently, and I just wanted to see what my body did with it. Well, my body didn't like it, and I'm not saying ivermectin is bad. I don't think it agreed with me. And maybe my liver was already at its limit, and the ivermectin was the tip of the iceberg. I don't know. My liver enzymes were over 700, and I wouldn't have known if I hadn't done your program. And this is the thing that was really impressive, is that I've done programs like yours before. The thorough report that you guys give is hands down the best that I've ever seen. I've gotten, my DNA done before, but the quality of the protocol to follow up with was elementary. Like, I should have been teaching more of what they were telling me than what they were telling me. And I did not. I learned from your report. It was extensive. The practitioner that helped walk me through it took every moment to help me make sure that I understood everything. I found out a lot of stuff about I've got both genes for Alzheimer's. I need to make sure I'm careful. Guess what? I've got multiple supplements that you better believe I'm taking from Accelerated Health products that help with Alzheimer's and prevention of dementia. Um, I learned specifically some supplements that I could use that were not ones that I was taking. And it also just gave me that focus of, okay, what am I going to do about my liver? And honestly, it was perfect timing because the accelerated liver care had not come out yet. And it was within a couple weeks it came out. I had done a blood test and then another blood test and saw the results. And it was truly a God thing because I knew the supplement was going to be amazing, but I did not know it was going to be that powerful. But the follow through, the way your company communicates with the clients, it's second to none. So my experience was amazing.
Thank you for sharing that. And the health report is really, I so love the nerd in me, just unpacking that with patients and looking through them. And I still pull mine up every now and then to revisit things because there's so much information there, and as far as the genetics go, like there's new things coming out all the time where I'll go back and look at a snip or two and, oh, I have that one or I don't have that one, or it just kind of helps you guide, it's the blueprint to your body, right? And it
Yeah.
helps you kind of give you that starting point to figure out where to go with all of these things. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode here, we're in this awesome time where there's so much information, yet it can be so overwhelming for people. And having an understanding of some of these baseline things that we've talked about here today is an important part for people to start to sift through some of that information, like supplements, and understanding where to go for a reputable source and what to do with it. And then, like you said, you may try something and it may not work for you, even though it worked for somebody else. And that's an important aspect of this all too. And so
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing all of that. One of my favorite ways to close the show, I don't know if anybody likes this out there, but I've been doing it for all the episodes recently, and it's a selfish thing, I guess, because I enjoy it. But sharing this space of wellness with you, I always like to ask our guests, what are you most excited about health trend wise? Like that's either coming out soon or maybe it's already out, whether it's a technology thing, but like what excites you about the space that we work in right now in health and wellness for the future?
Well, not getting political at all. Um, my hope is that what I'm hearing is with the change of administration, there will be a focus on taking fluoride out of the water, cleaning up some of the ingredients that are in the processed foods that are causing so much illness. That would be number one, but number two is also the amazing technologies of frequency healing, because when you're doing frequency healing, like with the Hiwi, you're not having to filter a supplement through your liver and right. So you're getting the benefits without the side effects. So those two things would be what I'm most excited about.
Love it. So in our episode today, we talked through finding the right supplements. We heard your journey about detoxification, your journey with your family as well. We talked the importance of iodine and its humongous role in our health that you outlined for us. And so I so appreciate you coming on with me today, Sarah, and sharing this time together. I really enjoyed our time. And where can people find you, find your products if they hear things today that they're interested in and they want to learn more?
Well, you can look up my podcast, Accelerated Health with Sara Banta, It's on every podcast outlet, but finding everything at sarabantahealth.com that will lead you to the shop and the products, my articles, my group coaching that's free for all of you. Join. You can ask your questions. I post tips and tools every day, because what I think is missing in the natural health world is the follow-up from practitioners. You get thrown these supplements, you don't know where to go. Day 3, you give up. So my goal is to keep you motivated, give you the knowledge, to give you the power to take your own health into your hands. So the free group coaching is there as well. Everything's at sarabantahealth.com, and that's Sarah without an H.
Love it. Love it. We'll definitely be in touch more in the future as well. Again, I appreciate you sharing this space and time with me today. And I know everybody's busy, so thanks for hopping on with me today. Guys, for Sarah, I'm Steve, and you guys are listening to the Wild Health Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for listening to the Wild Health Podcast. If you want more daily health education, be sure to follow us on Instagram, which is filled with health optimization how-tos, grocery shopping lists, guided breathwork posts, myth debunking, and so much more. You can find us at Wild Health MD on Instagram.